Okay, I don't want to be disrespectful because I have been disrespected for 5 years on my research, so I don't want to disrespect anyone else. However, I believe that this is, there's something silly going on here. Anyway, this is from New York Times, and this is no bones about it. Scientists recover ancient DNA from cave dirt. Now, I do mud fossils, and that's what I put in mud fossils. For 5 years, I've been after Yale and Harvard and everybody, University of Texas, and, Johns Hopkins, and they all refuse to look at my work, and it's called mud fossils. Well, apparently they think the mud is the fossils, so they're going for the cave dirt. It's unbelievable. I don't go for cave dirt. I take the fossils and take it from deep inside the arterial vessels. I don't take it off the floor of a cave somewhere and suspect that that's going to be somebody's body, because, what if they buried him with roses? You're going to end up saying, oh, the guy was totally unexpected. Humans are related to roses. I mean, that's unbelievable where they come up with these thinkers. Listen to this: sifting through teaspoons of clay and sand. Of course it's going to have RNA and DNA in it. Every single thing that's alive has that in it, and virtually every molecule on the ground has it in it. It's just a fact. Plants die, they have DNA in them. Humans die, they have DNA. Animals and cats and dogs and horses. It's just crazy to think that you're going to dig off the ground and find Jeez. So anyway, the new technique is absolutely stunning to them. It's a bit like discovering you can extract gold dust from the air. Oh my God! An absolute amazing and exciting paper from Harvard. Harvard wouldn't talk to me. I talked to Harvard. He said, "Oh, you're crazy. If you just read the books I read." It's absolutely amazing. And of course, they won't talk to me, and I try to contact them over and over. And I just did contact this guy to see what he has to say about it, because, they saw my papers. I know they have, because I sent it to every university in the world. I sent it to Max Planck, too, the people that authored this paper. So it's not like, and I saw the same to these people here that were doing this research. Now, whether they got it or not, I have no clue, because nobody's ever responded. And I've done it. I sent it to them several times. I sent it to Harvard many times. I sent it to Yale over and over and over. And that guy at Yale, Professor Derek Briggs, he claims that I have nothing but rocks with nothing at all in them. And then he authored a paper, or he was on a paper in Yale that said that they had discovered mud fossils. They call them some big long name, endocardia, biota, scooby-dooby, all these things. And then it's a silica-rich ocean, It's mud fossils. They're in the mud. It's exactly what I told him 5 years ago, and he still denies it. And he's written his own paper. It's a farce, this whole thing with academia. You just stay away from them. Come to my university. I own my own university, MUDfossil University, on YouTube. And this is totally invalid research. Absolutely, without question, totally invalid. To dig something off the floor and then say, "Oh, this is a human being stuff." Well, it could be. I'm not saying it isn't, because that stuff does effluent around. It's quite obvious, and I will show you something that will make you very interested in how things flow from dead bodies. You see this? This is why they won't look at my research. I have DNA and I have samples. That's a human fingertip. It's been CAT scanned, it's been DNA tested, it's been certified by an anatomist that teaches autopsies around the world. It was CAT scanned on an industrial scanner, Jesse Grant and Associates, the nicest people you would ever meet in the entire world. They have industrial scanners that scan racing car engines and do tolerances and everything. 3D, absolutely fabulous people. Did 7 CAT scans for us. DNA was tested in Helix Paleo Labs and Eaton Biolabs, and 100% using ancient protocols. It took months. And 100% human mitochondrial DNA. I go deep into the arterial places. You see in behind there? There's a showing of blood that's going through the fingers. I take them from down inside the arterial network. They're taken off of a floor or something. I mean, this is silly. It really is silly. Why they won't pay attention to my research? It wasted 5 years. 5 years. And the kids teaching the kids the same old stupid stuff that they knew wasn't true. I don't know, this is not right to me. I don't like it at all, but and nobody will listen to me, so here I am, talking to you. They're right about things flowing off of dead bodies, and I'll show you exactly how it works right here. And this is why they won't talk to me, because I have things that are reality, and they can't dispute this. You see this here? This is a dragon. Case closed. This is his head, right here. And this is all the stuff that ran out of his mouth that he spits on people to set them on fire. And it's all the little fluty stuff. And let's take a look at his throat and those dragon scales. Alright, there's his throat, and those are dragon scales. Let me back out of here. And there'll be effluent running all over the place from his body. You see it? All here? This is what they call the runoff, the effluent of a body. And we're going to go all the way down his throat. It's been one continuous tube. This is his throat. You see that? And it runs all the way down. All the way down, all the way down, all the way down. You think that is just some natural, and that's what a geologist, oh, that's just natural, just natural. It is like hell. These people are not being honest with us. They will not be honest. That goes all the way up to his head that I just showed you. And it runs all the way down into his stomach, which is way down here. And these are his legs, and this is all the blood running off him, and this is his tail way down here. And let's take a look at that. And I am fed up with these people being just freaking obnoxious, and they are arrogant, and they have just nothing to say other than, oh, it's just not what it is, just not what it is. Well, that's effluent running off. And that's the stuff they're digging off of cave floors. And that is a dragon. So that's all I have to say. But you people that are paying these people for what they're telling you, you're wasting your money. They have no clue what they're doing, and they don't care. That's my opinion, and that's my right to say it, and that is what I consider to be facts. So pay them, and they'll validate you. Otherwise, go work in the fields. That is a cult. All right, this is MUDfossil University, and this is it right here. It's on YouTube. It's free, and you can come up and just browse around, have a good time. It's got all kinds of stuff. There's giant skin and Triassic foot and boot and all this business. This all stuff is found. Everything here is factual. And if you can find anything that you protest, I certainly am willing to discuss anything with anyone. But I want to discuss the evidence that I present, not some old theory that was read to you. I want my evidence, which is new, and it is not standard model stuff at all. And the same with our light experiment. We have accelerated light. Now, there's so much that is wrong, it's just unbelievable. I found a goose's head that's in Triassic rock. Now, I'm going to play this, and you can listen to this. Stepped in it, was wet. Now, let me start from the beginning. This is Triassic era, in my mind. This is supposedly Triassic rock. All this stuff, and this was found in that same area. That's that giant finger. That's Triassic. However, this is classic Triassic structure. And what I mean by that is, this is what's called the black cap. Alright, that comes off. And this is what they call the red bed. And it is red, and I'll show you that a little closer. And this is gray shale, which originally was on top of this red bed. And then somebody stepped in this, that's a human footprint, and I will show that in detail, and pushed the gray clay, which was above the red bed, down through the red bed. And as a result, which this is the red bed, you can see it's quite red, and it is what they call the red bed. And this is the gray clay. Now, and that is the red bed. And you can see it's completely around this gray clay, which this is a human footprint, and I hope you can see that well enough to realize it, but I do have some very good... All right, we don't have to see any more of this part of it, because I have the full details on this. But everything that was on that table is supposedly found in Triassic rock, which is, I'm right near Dinosaur State Park in Connecticut, which is a Triassic rock area. Fully understood. It's been studied for years and years and years. Bell did a paper on this. It was cited in Yale, calling this a doorway to the Earth, into the Earth. And it's one of the deepest rift valleys on the face of the planet. It's a separation zone. It happened long ago, apparently, is what they say. And it has horse-graben faulting, which means that the lowest levels of the earth are pushed up to the surface, and you get it's literally the lowest levels of the earth are being vomited to the surface. Let me find a rock on that, and I will show you what I mean by that. All right, you find a lot of this flat. So it's totally flat, squared off, flat. And that's what they call ultramafic rock. And they say that it gets stretched and pulled in this. And then you have other stuff like this, which is tectonite, they call this, which has these striations. It pulls this way, and then it goes that way. Well, that has nothing to do with the earth. That is from tissue. You see that? You see how that goes that way? You see this one here, how it comes the other direction? Coming right at you, that's just that's your tendons, and that's the way your tissues are made. And this was I think this was a lung, or I can't remember what this was, but I have to look it up, I figure. But see, this is the kind of stuff this is not something that just grew out of the earth for no reason. This is all from life, and that's what the mud fossils are. I'm not talking about just mud going out picking up mud off the ground, which they did. You know, they just took the wrong, they looked at what I did and said, oh, it must be mud that they were looking at. It has nothing to do with just the mud. If you look at, I'm going to show you something here. You see this? That's just a piece of mud, if you didn't know any better. But if you looked at this very carefully in a microscope, which we're going to in a second, you're going to see that that's a lung. This was a lung. And it's turned into clay. It will turn into clay. So what they're finding could be anything on that ground. You know, that piece of mud I just showed you, which was that lung, this is it right here. When you get right down and you start looking at it, that is tissue. That is lung tissue. And the blood and and so forth is showing up there. All right? So they're looking, dirt is not just mud. It has, a lot of it was alive once. And when you find them in these little lumps, they likely were something at one point in time. So my point is, it's got to be taken a little more serious. And here was that one that was that ultramafic rock. You see that? That's not just a rock. That is the fabric of life. It's the fabric of life. That ultramafic rock has nothing to do with being just a rock. They think everything was just rocks came from nowhere. Well, they didn't just come from nowhere. And you see over there on the right, I got all kinds of pictures of rocks and things. And you see here, let me see this here. You see that? That's the kind of fibers you find in rocks that were petrified from tissues. That's the fibers that are in tissues. They call them kerogens and keratins and so forth, and they're in your tissues. And I have all this. See that? That's not just a rock. These people drive me crazy. They can't see it. Oh, it's just a rock. No, it is not just a rock. You see that? That's not just a rock. Inside of there was blood, and that all congealed, and as it dried out and turned hard, it petrifies. You see that? That's a hole inside of a arterial bone foramen, and that is the arterial blood leaking out of it. And there's some more. They're all over the place. I got pictures of everything. So they need to really come down to reality and start looking at things. But this is the way. See, that is gold. You can find gold here and there, and I'm not going to tell anybody how to find it, but it's not easy to find, let me tell you. You're not going to be able to find it, so don't ask me about it. All right, anyway, that's the story. All right, I'm just going to wrap this up by saying that I find it very interesting that they have gone from there is no possible way that DNA can be preserved. Now, after my mud fossils came out, now they decide that it's the mud. And then now they find that it's in the dirt. Let's just go dig in the dirt and forget the bones. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting to me that they have that kind of a reversal and not thinking about my work at all. Which I sent it to every one of these researchers over and over, and nobody has responded. So, that I see as kind of interesting, and you know, it bothers me that they wouldn't look at my research, and my research is the only valid research. They're looking at something that's totally invalid again. So it's just a waste of everybody's time.